For Panthers Fans Only is a sports podcast intended for mature audiences and contains profanity as well as extremely spirited conversation. What you see and hear are the sole opinions and depictions of each individual, not at all inclusive of the entire cast or any guests associated with our show. Thanks for tuning in, and always remember to stand on business.
God knows I am reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on, honey, and all my babies. Woke up looking for the broccoli. High key, keep a horn on me. That could my seat. IP ownership, the blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off at my feet. Couldn't try me in a tri-state. Buddy pass, but I give him splash till he hydrated. Bounce out, know he spook town, eyes dilated.
Does it feel like Victory Monday?
I feel good, get the fuck out my thighs. Look good, but she don't got no ties. I walked in, walked out with the size. Man, don't let me know what the prize.
Do you feel like it's Victory Monday?
It's not Victory Monday to me. Feel good music, that's it. But I mean, bro hoop. That's all I will say, bro hoop. So I know a lot of people are ecstatic about that.
Squabble up.
You and Dylan, to be more specific.
I mean, I just feel like when you go toe-to-toe, pound for pound with one of the best, then you got to get some respect put on your name. Just a little bit. You get more if you win, but when you go toe-to-toe, you get some respect. But we can get into that later, because I do have some criticism still.
Especially from a hater.
There's that, too.
Baby rockin' it, quid pro quo, what you want, cause I'm watching it. Work on the flow, let me know if you clockin' it. Really won't go, but I know that he poppin' it. It was wolf tickets on sale till I silenced it. Pipe down, young, these some whole other politics. Bitch with him and some bitch in him, that's a lot of bitch. Don't hit him, he got kids with him, my apologies. Ghetto child, here was Blackie Mouse with the Smirnoff. Yee-haw, we outside, what they about to kill.
Welcome to Four Panthers Fans Only.
It's a fact, this a brick or all. Tell me why the fuck you niggas rap if it's fictional. Tell me why the fuck you niggas fed if you criminal. Hey, Dot, can I get a drop? I'm like, nigga, nah. H-Bone coon from the west side to Senegal. It's a full moon, let the wolves out, I've been a dog. I feel good, get the fuck out my thighs. Look,
I guess we just gotta let it rock. Hopefully we don't get clipped. We might. I don't think we will. I hope not, at least. But there's always that possibility. Again, welcome to Four Panthers Fans Only. If you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube at the G2S Network. Tap in with us on social media at Four Panthers Fans Only. On Instagram, TikTok. You can find us at FPFO_podcast on X. And you can find us on all DSPs at Four Panthers Fans Only. Thank you guys so much for being here. How is everybody doing? I'm JJ, by the way.
I'm Terrence. I'm doing fantastic. Another Monday. Down. Closer to Thanksgiving. Closer to a long weekend. So I'm feeling good.
I'm your producer, Tavian. I'm doing all right, man. It's been a rough couple of days here. Lost my aunt. Lost my dog.
Sorry to hear that, brother.
So, yeah, it's been rough. But we're here, you know. Shout out to Keisha Wilson for sharing your life with us, and for my cousins and my dog Roy, man, 15 years. Good dog. He was a good dog.
Roy, which one was that?
One of the little ones. It was the oldest one of the minis. But
Sorry to hear that, bro.
I
I found out I lost my cousin today, too. Because all the shit is, I understand.
It's eye-opening, man. Life is short. You know, appreciate every moment with your loved ones, y'all. So you never know when they're going to be gone. But celebrate the good times, for sure.
Facts, for sure. I don't even know where I want to start. I know y'all want to crown Bryce, and that's cool, and I understand and I respect that because he did go toe to toe. For one, I just want to commend the Carolina Panthers team as a unit. I think that we've been extremely vocal on this podcast, and I apologize for my voice already, just ahead of time. But I think we've been extremely vocal on this podcast about Dave Canales. And I think that what you saw on Sunday afternoon kind of embodies everything that we've been saying on this podcast, specifically me. And I'll give it to you just to, get whatever you want to get off as well. But when we talk about kind of this being the head coach for me personally, that I trust, that I believe can take us where we want to go, I think Sunday afternoon showed that significantly, to be quite honest. Yes, we didn't get the win, but if you recall back to week 1 when the Carolina Panthers got absolutely abused by the New Orleans Saints, and Dave Canales immediately went on the podium and said it wasn't just a player thing, it was a coaching thing too. We got out-coached, and I took that personally. And I think that if you look at what Dave Canales, just as a head coach and just as a play caller, did yesterday or did on Sunday, you can tell that he really did take that shit personal. And he went toe-to-toe with Andy Reid and the coaching staff of the Kansas City Chiefs. Same thing with Bryce Young. A lot can be said just about the ups and downs that he's had throughout his career, specifically with the Carolina Panthers and just this season in particular. But, over the last 3 weeks, he's shown constant progression, constant development. And on this podcast, 2 of the parties, I will say, made it abundantly clear, Tavian and Terrence, that what we wanted to see as Carolina Panthers fans or just supporters of Carolina, however you want to word it, what we wanted to see this season in particular was progress and development from Bryce Young. And I think we look back, week 12 just finally wrapping up, I think that the Carolina Panthers are trending in the right direction. And I think that a significant part of that must be accredited to Dave Canales and the culture that he's establishing. I really, really do. I think it's a unique situation that he's in because the Carolina Panthers have been so bad for, the better part of the last decade or so. But he's got his opportunity, and Sunday for me was just another example why I believe that Dave Canales is the guy for the job, and Dave Canales, to me, is going to take us where we need to go and where we want to go as a franchise and as an organization. I think that, and we'll dive into a lot of this stuff as well, just kind of in more detail, but this is kind of just how I want to open. I think that there are a lot of pieces on this team that are going to play significant roles going forward. I look at Chuba Hubbard obviously just getting a new contract recently. You look at Xavier Legette, he's another guy. J.C. Horn, who I predict will get a contract at the end of this season, even though he struggled on Sunday. I will say that. I think Sunday was one of the worst games that I've seen from J.C. Horn in his whole career. The amount of holding and the penalties that he obtained throughout the game, just disgusting. It's undisciplined. And off of that, I would look at Ejiro Evero, another guy that we've had multiple conversations about. And I would say for the first 7-8 weeks of the season, maybe even 9 weeks of the season, I think that I was defending EJ relatively strong when my co-host would mention the miscommunications and the lack of ability to tackle and whatever else the case may be. And I think I defended him the best that I could. But at this point, for me, I think the Ejiro Evero experience is over, or experiment, rather. I think at the end of this season, he's going to be one of those guys that a lot of people were looking at getting a head coaching job and now potentially making a lateral movement or just simply, getting a demotion elsewhere. But I don't know if Ejiro Evero, to be honest, is what the Carolina Panthers need going forward. I really don't. When you look at the miscommunications that happened on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs, the most notable one I'd say is the touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins. What was that, the second or third quarter? Or the one in the back of the end zone.
I think that was the third quarter.
I would say it was one worse than that. I think it was the one to Noah Gray.
Wide open in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And I think you'd have a great argument if that was the stance you took. So when you just continue to see these things repeatedly over and over again, week in and week out, it just becomes a lot more frustrating to deal with. And it just shows me the inability for you to do a job at a high level on this particular level, on the professional level. So I don't know what EJ's future looks like in Carolina. Listen, I understand that the talent is not there. Me and Terrence had a long conversation on the way back from Charlotte last night just about how we just have a bunch of guys on this roster. And that's said with all due respect because they did have to put in the work to get to this level. However, there's really no eye-popping talent when you look at the Carolina Panthers. It's just a bunch of guys. And I referenced the Las Vegas Raiders, and I said, unless you really, really, really are in tune with football or a diehard Raiders fan, you'd be hard-pressed to name 6 or 7 guys that play for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that if you look at other teams in the NFL, like the Baltimore Ravens, like the Dallas Cowboys, like the Buffalo Bills, like the Detroit Lions, the list goes on and on. A lot of these guys have the talent that set themselves apart pretty much every single year to be successful and to be in playoff contention and things like that. I believe that the Carolina Panthers are very, very similar to the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you are not a diehard Carolina Panthers fan or you're not really, really in tune with the NFL as a whole, there are just a lot of guys. And I think that's the point that we're currently at. So I shoot EJ Bale on that front. But a lot of the things that I'm seeing on a week-in, week-out basis just simply not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it if we want to be a successful team. It's not going to cut it if you want to win a divisional title within the next 3 or 4 years. It's not going to cut it if you feel as though you have the ability with Dave Canales to be a constant playoff contending team. What we've been seeing defensively from this organization and from this team this year in particular just simply isn't going to cut it in the future. So that's kind of what I'll open with. Overall, I think that I could probably go on for another 10 or 15 minutes just from what I saw on Sunday because there were a lot of phenomenal things. If you just look at the team overall from a resentment standpoint, or not resentment, excuse me, from a resilient standpoint, my apologies. You look at this team overall from a resilient standpoint, if you go down 20-9 to the reigning 2-time Super Bowl champions, the Carolina Panthers of the past would have legitimately folded when they went down by 1 possession. And this is why I commend and salute and just big up Dave Canales as much as I do, because I think that's a culture thing, bro. And you have to have the guys in the locker room to buy in, and I believe that to a certain degree the Carolina Panthers are working towards that. We're not there yet. But huge shout-out to the team. Hell of a game. Fought their ass off. That last drive from the offense was extremely impressive, even though it was, assisted by, the pass interference on Adam Thielen on back-to-back play or, on the big play, the shot that we took before we scored the touchdown, and then afterwards for the 2-point conversion. Defense, again, I say all of that I said about EJ. However, we've talked about on multiple occasions as well how this defense has come up with timely stops when they needed to. I've said that at damn near ad nauseum. Multiple times we've talked about that specific occurrence. We saw it again in the fourth quarter. What do we get, like 2 or 3 stops, I want to say? I know for a fact we got 2 stops back-to-back to give the offense the opportunity to go put points on the board the second time they were able to do so. So, just from an overall standpoint, I'm not big into moral victories. This is not a Victory Monday by any stretch of the imagination, or Victory Tuesday when y'all see this. And the Carolina Panthers ultimately did fall to 3-8. But I think that kind of why the vibes are a little bit different is just simply based off the product that we saw on the field. And you can look at it like, people just want to be entertained. People just want to see the Carolina Panthers be competitive again. But for me, it's a little bit different. I think it's just all about the development of everything. And just because I know, like I said, last year, the Carolina Panthers, if they go down to the, 20-9, even if it is against this year's Chiefs team, the Carolina Panthers fold and they quit. So I'll say shout out to the team for that and just what Dave Canales and the coaching staff currently is building and what the organization seems the direction they're trending into. So that's how I wanted to open it up. How are you feeling? What do you want to get off your chest? Et cetera, et cetera.
I think overall it was definitely a fun game to be a part of. All the way from the previous night to the tailgate to just like the atmosphere in the stadium, which I know was a lot of Chiefs fans. Like, I don't know where they come from. Half of them are not even from Kansas City.
And they just dig eat.
Well, you know what it is. It's because they're the hot team right now. So this young generation coming up has a lot of Chiefs fans because they've been winning.
Yeah, and so it was just a ton of them in the stadium. But it was funny because me and Dunk were sitting up there. They were trying to get that little chant off that they do, but that shit died so quickly. So I was happy to see that because I was like, y'all sound stupid as hell. And it felt good to kind of see them in shambles towards the end of the game when we marched the ball down the field, scored a 2-point conversion. Even though by that time I was like, a minute and 45 seconds with Patrick Mahomes, we're probably cooked. But at the same time, it felt good to put, like, some fear in them for them to know, like, oh, like, okay, they might actually have a chance to clip us for real. They had to play damn near perfect towards the end of the game for them to actually come out with the dub. But it was definitely a competitive game by the Carolina Panthers. I think a lot of players show progression. I think that there's starting to be a culture shift in Carolina, and I think that that's something that's attributed to Dave Canales. I think that when he came in to take this coaching position, he really had the way that he wanted to do things, and I think that, you know, the front office has let him do so, and he's running the team the way he wants and the way he sees fit, and so I think that everybody is starting to buy into that, and you're starting to be able to see that by the play that's on the field. It didn't feel like guys were taking plays off. Obviously, there was miscommunications. Obviously, there's just some guys who don't have it from a talent standpoint, so it's like I expected it to be some plays that look terrible. Like, I expected that because we just don't have those guys as of right now. But I think the team played with a lot of heart. It takes a lot to go toe-to-toe with the two-time defending Super Bowl champions with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of us believe that he'll go down as the greatest quarterback of all time when it's all said and done, against Travis Kelce, who will also go down as one of the greatest tight ends to ever play. DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to be a future Hall of Famer. That defense, who's the number one rush defense in the league, who has tremendous talent on both sides of the ball. They have Chris Jones. They have 22. I always forget his name. Lockdown cornerback.
McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, McDuffie.
Just an absolute stud in the cornerback room. So I think that the team showed a lot of heart by, you know, being able to go toe-to-toe with them and making this game competitive. And I also think that Bryce took a big step this game. And you can see him slowly progressing every week, getting more comfortable behind the offensive line. Like, there was a lot of the times where last year you would see if he got a little bit of pressure in his face, like he was ducking off, throwing the ball away, or just taking a sack. But now you're starting to see him kind of stare down the barrel of the gun a little bit more and take those shots, even though you know you're going to get hit under your chin strap. But it's like, okay, I'll sacrifice that to make the wide open throw. Like, just trusting my receivers to make plays. And I think it showed a lot with Dave Canales even trusting Bryce now, because I was telling JJ and Dunk, there was a lot of the times where it's like that 4th and 1 pass to Adam Thielen. Like, we're 4th and 1 and we throw the ball 20 yards down the field. But it's like, I trust Bryce to make that throw, and I trust a vet like Adam Thielen to catch the ball, and that's what happened. Other times where it was like 3rd and short, instead of us giving the ball to Chuba, no, Bryce, you go throw it up. You go make a play. And that's what he did. I think a lot of guys like David Moore stepped up. Jatavion Sanders, before he got injured, looked like he was about to have a big game. So there was a lot of positives to take out of this game. You know, even though we lost, but there's still a lot that's to be said about this team, like, going forward. Not even this year, but just next year in general. I think that there's a lot of guys that you can take and build from. DJ Wanham, he's going to be good. JC, like you said, this is one of the worst games I've seen from JC. But it was a matter of, I think some of it was scheme as well, because I just couldn't for the life of me understand why he continued to play 10, 20 yards off DeAndre Hopkins. Like, we're just going to let a 40-year-old DeAndre Hopkins beat us down the field. I don't know why we're scared of that, but I digress. So that's the problem that I have with EJ. But, yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of positives throughout the game. I was happy to see the result. Obviously, sad that we lost, but at the same time, it's a lot of great things that you can take away. So I'm excited to see what next year is going to be like when we actually get some talent in the room and get guys healthy, because this is still all happening without Derrick Brown and Shaq Thompson. So,
facts. You got something?
I mean, you could really just copy and paste everything that I've been saying all season. It's exactly what you wanted to see. It's development. You saw development. We know this defense isn't very good. But the defense, what you still see is that culture shift going on in Carolina, where this is becoming a more offensive-led team. The team goes as the offense goes. In the first quarter or first half of the game, where the defense really wasn't making too many stops, the offense wasn't really producing either. I don't think that's a surprise. And then in the second half, when the defense starts making stops, the offense was marching, and they were making some noise. So I think I love that Bryce reminded us that his story is still yet to be written. The narrative on Bryce Young is continuing to change. He was thrusted into the spotlight being the number 1 overall pick, handed a terrible situation, horrible coaching, kind of broke him. He had to unlearn all the bad habits and now relearn how to be a good quarterback, a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's taking the proper steps. But I do think there was a lot of meat left on the bone. Too many red zone trips ended with field goals, and that's the difference in the game right there, in my opinion. Way too many not empty possessions, but not enough. You could have gotten way more when you get down into that red zone.
Yeah, you don't beat a team like the Chiefs off field goals.
Absolutely not.
So but I do think were a lot of positives to take from it. I love what I see from Dave Canales. He comes off to me as a guy who really doesn't take too much shit and will hold everybody accountable because he holds himself accountable. Obviously, not to rehash it, but he did write the book after cheating on his wife, and like that was his version. I'm being so serious though. Like, that was his version of holding himself accountable in his relationship, and you see him do that in his personal life, and you also see that translating to what's going on the field. He said that his coaching wasn't good enough. He made adjustments. He became better. And if your head coach is displaying that level of intensity and commitment to his craft, you see Bryce Young starting to adapt to that and adopt that same mentality. Bryce Young is now holding himself accountable as the leader of this team and starting to fill in that role. Like, I think it's really there's a lot of positives to take from this. It was obviously not the outcome you wanted. You want to beat the Chiefs. You want to win every game that you can. But there's a lot of positives to take from this. And I think I'm excited to see where the Panthers are going in the future. I think it's going to be a lot of fun the next couple of years to see them build.
I got a question. I know this is completely in a different direction than the game itself, but based off the improvement that you've seen from Bryce just in this game alone, I would say, and what you think the front office is thinking after this game, do you think this is still a situation to where they will be looking to sign Daniel Jones?
Probably not. I think a lot of things changed this weekend. If you go look at the situation in Vegas, with Gardner Minshew being out for the remainder of the season, I think that at this very second, I know that Daniel Jones and his
representation.
Yes, thank you. Stated that he wanted to go to a contender. But to be quite frank, I don't really know any contenders that are in search of a quarterback. That's kind of why they're contenders. So, I don't know if the front office is thinking about that. But I don't think that at this time the conversation that we had on Friday is applicable, right this second. But that also doesn't say that this organization still fully trusts him. Because we've seen the constant reports over the last 2 or 3 weeks that people in the Carolina Panthers front office still don't know what they want to do with Bryce Young. We don't understand. We don't know what the direction is. So I don't know if one game for front office and specifically for Dan Morgan and Dave Canales does what it's doing currently for the fan base. And to be quite frank, I don't think it should. I think that whatever the plan was prior to this past game, it should still be that. Because I think that personally, I believe that Bryce Young, to a certain degree, is still in the Carolina Panthers plans. I just don't know if, they see him as quarterback one. I don't know, and I kind of think that that's what they were alluding to. I don't think that what they were saying was that they would be cutting Bryce Young. That would be preposterous to think. Now, obviously, there were conversations prior to the deadline of him potentially being traded or whatever the case may be. I really don't know. But as far as Daniel Jones specifically, I don't think that you go make that move. Not after a game like that, and not after the last 4 weeks, really. You had to bye last week, cool, but then you beat the Giants and you beat the Saints, both with Bryce Young producing at a serviceable level, and both with him not losing you the football game. So I think with, you win 2 out of your last 3 games, and the third game that you could have potentially won was to the Super Bowl champs, and you lose by 3, a last-second drive, a last-second field goal. I think you'd be kind of remiss to, just feel like Bryce Young is done or we don't have any use for Bryce Young. I think that would be kind of idiotic thinking, and that would be a huge mistake on the front office's part, in my opinion. But I don't know. Daniel Jones is not he's not the answer. I don't think that I ever stated that Daniel Jones was the answer. I saw a lot of y'all in the comments just completely tweaking out. I don't really understand why. I felt like the conversation just simply had to be had. And I mentioned twice at the very minimum or at the very least that I was playing devil's advocate, but the conversation and the question had to be asked. Why wouldn't you? And I still have yet to see in the comments anybody give me 3 reasons why the Carolina Panthers don't go get Daniel Jones. And that was the only thing that I said regarding the topic as a whole. So I don't know. But like I said, I give Bryce Young his credit. I do give him his credit for what I saw on Sunday. How do you feel about it? 'Cause you didn't really. You said that Daniel Jones was ass from the very jump, and that you never wanted to see him, never wanted to hear his name in association with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people on X felt the same way as you. So, do you think that this changes anything? If that was even in the thought process for this front office?
I think it should. But I mean, I still take the same stance. I think that regardless of how Bryce would have played, I'd have still been like, yeah, I don't want to see Daniel Jones in the Carolina Panthers uniform because I just don't think he's a good quarterback personally. And I know that's not like a quote-unquote good reason, but, I mean, that's just the way I feel. That's what the film tells me. So nothing has changed personally for me. But do I think something should have changed within the front office regarding the Daniel Jones situation? Yes. Especially if he already told you that he wants to go to a team that's a contender. So he wants to go to a team to be a backup. Okay, cool. I don't see why they would go and not necessarily reach for him, but even waste the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the conversation has to be had. And I want to just reemphasize the point that it is in everybody's best interest for Bryce Young to work out. I think I've said that probably like 15 or 20 times since this offseason, but it seems like a lot of y'all just don't listen or you just don't have the ability to comprehend when I speak at times. So I'm just going to reemphasize the point yet again that it is in everybody's best interest that Bryce Young works out. Simple as that. I know that y'all think that I damn near want Bryce Young dead. And I'm not going to say last year there weren't times where you potentially may have been right. But, I mean, as a Carolina Panthers fan, bro, I've said this so many times, and I'm just going to say it again just for the new viewers because, I see the numbers and shit. I know a lot of y'all are new. At the end of the day, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, and if Bryce Young is the decision that this front office made or this organization, because this is not the decision that this current front office made, but if this is the decision the organization made, it's in everybody's best interest that he's successful, bro. And as a diehard Carolina Panther fan, I hope the nigga is successful.
I think that just based on how they heard you talk about him in the past, it's probably kind of hard for them to be like, all right, like, we not really about to take this nigga serious when he says this because we know that
the right to feel that way.
One slip up, he gonna go right back to the same thing and beating the table. I told you so. I told you so.
I never. But did I ever say? Did I ever tell you? Did I ever say I told you so when he got pulled?
I'm just telling you
when he wasn't the starter.
I'm just telling you what I would think as a fan on the outside looking in. So you asked the question of like you don't understand why they can't comprehend or why they think you hate them and want them dead. I'm telling you that if I was a fan watching the episodes last year and coming on to this year, I'm going to be like, well, I just don't take any stock into him saying anything good about Bryce Young because I already know how he was at one point. I'm just giving you the answer that you asked if I was a fan on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a very valid assessment
of
the situation.
Then I would just say that they just don't watch enough of our content then.
But to touch on the Daniel Jones thing and then move off it, because Daniel Jones won't suit up for the Panthers, I think if you're really legitimately thinking Daniel Jones will suit up for the Panthers, you're just unserious. I think you're a very unserious fan and you don't really watch football. Because there's nothing that...
Why?
Because there's nothing about the situation that truly makes sense as far as from the Panthers' perspective. You have Bryce Young. You're invested in Bryce Young for this year and the next. You have a backup quarterback currently. And it's not
who will be done at the end of this year, whether he retires or he moves on from the Carolina Panthers.
Which
so that would be my instant rebuttal
that he's gonna move on, but because especially being at the tail end of his career, he might like it in Carolina. Andy Dalton
is Daniel Jones better than Andy Dalton?
I mean, I think at this point it's pretty safe to say they're about the same level. Daniel Jones is a little bit more mobile.
One is just more mobile and younger.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
you don't really. That's not really what you need. Like I don't think Daniel Jones would ever truly take any meaningful snaps as a starter in Carolina, and I don't see why the front office would even waste their time bringing in more controversy. I mean, have y'all not given Bryce enough already? Like as far as
Bryce has given himself enough,
setting him off on a bad foot to his NFL career and not really equipping him the best that you possibly could have. I think so, and I think he's done nothing but grow and respond. Even with the shit start, he's done nothing but grow and respond. So why would you disrespect him in the sense of bringing in fucking Daniel Jones?
Yeah,
because we don't know if you have it, nigga.
Well,
we just leaked to the media 2 weeks ago. We don't know what our plans are.
But you know what? I know who doesn't have it.
Why? Why do you know that?
That's what I tried to tell.
And a lot of people said the same. A lot of people said the same thing about Geno Smith, and a lot of people said the same thing about Baker Mayfield. And then Dave Canales got his hands on them, on both of them. And now we see.
Yeah.
So I
just don't believe it for Daniel.
I understand.
I see where you're coming from.
I understand.
I mean, you make valid points.
Yeah,
but I don't.
That's why I don't understand why motherfuckers are just so gassed up. Like, people just don't want to have the conversation, and that's another thing that pisses me off about y'all Bryce Young stands. Like, y'all niggas just want everybody to handle the nigga with kid gloves, and I'm just not the motherfucker to do that. Either you can do the job or you can't. It's just very, very, very fucking simple. It is. So, I know everybody is feeling phenomenal right now. Again, Bryce Young played an outstanding game on Sunday against the Chiefs. He went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever walked the face of the earth. But I will say we've seen this play out. We've seen this happen before, because I would just challenge you to go back to last year when he played Green Bay, when the nigga looked like he could potentially be an MVP candidate at some point in his career.
Well, what I'll say, not to cut you off, but what I'll say is I think that also at this point in time, he has the locker room. Clearly, from what the players have said
agree with that.
Over this game, if you read the comments, then you seen that he went in the locker room, gave the team a speech. Robert Hunt said he damn near wanted to go back on the field,
play another 60,
suit up again.
I need to see the speech.
Yeah, and Excel said that he changed his tone in there. And, he had all of them niggas gassed up. And so, I think he clearly has the locker room. So
he ain't hit him with the baby voice.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So, I think that throwing any kind of hiccup in the situation would just kind of fuck things off at this point, honestly. It's we already seen his confidence just get shattered at one point in his career. And now that it's finally starting to build back up, I think that you just got to build off of that.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
So, fuck Daniel Jones.
I'm not going to go that. I don't think Daniel Jones is a bad person. I think the Giants organization was kind of...
I didn't say he was a bad person, but fuck him as a Carolina Panthers quarterback.
Fair, yeah. Because he had Malik Neighbors hot talking about something. Clearly wasn't the quarterback.
Yeah.
It clearly won't the quarterback. He about wanted to say it was all day ball.
But if Malik Neighbors need a home...
Yeah, imagine that. 30-27, the final from Charlotte. 21 and 35, 263 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers for Bryce Young. Chuba Hubbard, 16 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. Would love to see that number go up, but I know, it's just not, it wasn't in the game plan, I guess. 3 carries for 20 yards for Bryce Young, and then Jonathan Brooks makes his NFL debut, 2 carries for 7 yards. Don't tell me he's on a pitch count if he's not going to touch the ball more than twice. That's all I'm going to say. Leading receiver, 6 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown, David Moore. Talked about him a lot over the summer. Glad to see him finally getting involved and making a difference because he was definitely a guy that, just being at training camp all throughout, he was a guy that I thought was going to have a huge impact on this team, more so than what he has up to this point in the season. And Sunday was just an embodiment of that, in my opinion. That is what he's capable of, specifically in this offense. He's a Canales guy. He's been with Canales multiple times throughout his career. And just seeing that chemistry kind of grow between him and Bryce Young was impressive to see. I'll say that. Adam Thielen returns from his injury, 3 catches for 57 yards. He had a couple big catches, one that Terrence referenced in the fourth quarter. He also had a huge one in the first quarter. So glad to see Adam Thielen back. 4 for 56 for Xavier Legette. He should have had 5 for about 78, 79, 80. But he took accountability for that, so I'll give him credit.
Just be better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. 3 catches for 49 yards from Jatavion Sanders. Happy that he's cleared and good to go. Dave Canales said that the injury wasn't that serious. He's back. He was in the building on Monday. So glad to hear that about him because he was about to go fed. I'm not going to lie. Them 2 catches that he made before he got injured, he was about to turn it up. He was about to turn it up a notch. Defensively, Josie Jewell, 6 sacks. Or no. My apologies. I'm blazing. My apologies.
Chill.
6 solos, my fault. 6 solos, 9 total tackles. He did have a sack, though. Xavier Woods was right behind him, 7 solos, 8 tackles in the TFL. J.C. Orr, he also had a sack. DJ Wanham had a sack. Jadavion had 1.5. You need to apologize.
No, I don't.
And Deshaun Williams had half.
No, I don't.
Carolina Panthers defense, the only defense in 2024, 2025 to sack Patrick Mahomes 5 times or more in the season in one game. So shout out to the defense on that front. I will say that stat doesn't really tell the story by any stretch of the imagination because there was times where Pat just had fucking 12 seconds in the pocket and it looked like training camp.
Even that play where DeAndre Hopkins caught the ball in the back of the end zone. Like, obviously, it was a blown coverage because somebody wasn't where they were supposed to be, but he still had all day in the pocket to make that throw.
Yeah, for sure. And I would even say that one of the reasons why that catch even happened, or either miscommunication even had the opportunity to happen, was because of the lack of pass rush.
Yeah.
Honestly, because, we can't cover for 5-6 seconds. So that's when, again, I started thinking about shooting E.J. Bell, but I just don't know if I can do it anymore. I don't. I really don't. But yeah, those are the type games that you hate losing, bro. You hate losing that shit. And I said it all day yesterday. It's just frustrating as hell because I just know that Kansas City has had a horseshoe up their ass all season. If it's not the refs, it's some bullshit. We don't know how to protect on a PAT or, get a ball back with 150 and there's a fucking Dane Jackson just simply doesn't exude enough effort to make the tackle. Like, that shit pissed me off too. I don't know if you saw that clip floating around X, but on the last Patrick Mahomes rush, this nigga Dane Jackson could have made the tackle short of the sticks, yet we allow Patrick Mahomes to go 35, 40 yards down the field.
No, I didn't. Shit, it's probably a good thing I didn't because I had already said I was going to get on here and slander Dane Jackson's name because he's sorry as hell. Like, he is really sorry as fuck. And if that don't tell you anything else, you just have to go get somebody in that draft, bro. Or you have to – he can never play nickel again after this year. He just can't do it. He just doesn't have it. And I don't know why he got gassed up. I know who he got gassed up by at one point, but I don't know why.
Who?
He's just not good.
Who?
You know who, bro. You know who. He's just not a good corner, bro. And when you put guys like that in those kind of situations, more likely than not, they get exposed. And he got exposed a lot this past game and even the week before, because I had a lot to say about him the week before. I just don't think he's not the right corner for our team. Reason why we just went and picked one up off the waivers.
What is his name?
Last name Evans. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Caleb, Akaba. I don't know. What is his name?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but something along those lines. I think he played for the Vikings. Ended up getting released, and we ended up claiming him off waivers. So hopefully he can come in and make a statement. But I don't know. I just know I don't want to see Dane Jackson again.
Caleb Evans. I don't know if we're pronouncing it right. I just know it's spelled like a Caleb. Caleb Evans from the Minnesota Vikings allegedly has a concussion problem. Just based on what I saw on X, I don't know how true it is because I didn't fact check it, but I heard he's had 3 concussions. He got drafted in 2022. I'm not gonna lie, to have 3 concussions in 2-3 years, kind of treading in Luke Kuechly territory a little bit. But I digress.
I guess more Tua territory.
I mean, yeah, that too. that too. But yeah, just to go off of your point, Dane Jackson, he's just really fucking embarrassing, to be quite frank.
He should have been released with fucking Charles Harris today.
Yeah, that was the other news. We released Charles Harris. That was
Thank God.
That was the move, the corresponding move after bringing in Caleb. You go ahead and go cut Charles Harris. I think that Charles Harris is one of the worst football players that I've ever seen in my life, along with Dane Jackson. I don't even know how many missed tackles. And this is why I also was pissed off yesterday, and I got even more pissed off today after I rewatched the game. The amount of missed tackles that we had yesterday was just fucking, just disgusting. Just absolutely embarrassing. And so then, again, I had to look at the head coach of the defense, the defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero, and just ask the question, why the fuck can't we make tackles as NFL players? But then it would go even further back to the point of we just have a lot of guys.
Yeah, but guys should be able to make tackles, bro. I hate to tell you. If you're in the NFL, you got to be able to make a tackle.
Oh.
Like, it just has to happen.
I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
they're not making the tackles.
Yeah, I know. Something has to give. Something ain't going right in practice. I don't know. They not flipping that sled. They not hitting the dummies. They not popping enough. I don't know what it is, but something different has to happen because it's just embarrassing, bro.
Did you have something?
I was just going to say, they're not allowed to hit anymore in practice and training camp and stuff, so.
Soft.
I think it's limited or something, right?
Yeah, like there's really nothing. Limited means basically nothing. If you look at any player interview and they talk about, especially if you look at like guys that had seen the transition of the old CBA to the new CBA, and all that stuff or whatever. Is it the CBA in the NFL? Yeah, well, the old CBA to the new CBA, and they talk about the difference in practice intensity and what you can and cannot do anymore. It's a big difference, and it definitely reflects in the injuries and the tackling that you see.
All I'm going to say is if you can't tackle, just go talk to Xavier Woods. Simple as that. And if you don't learn how to tackle from him, what I do know is you'll learn how to stretch something. So, that's all I'm saying.
You know who we haven't seen?
Who?
DJ Johnson.
He was out yesterday. He was out yesterday. I think because he had a concussion. I think he's been out for the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. Did he play in Germany? I don't know if he played in Germany or not, but I know I'm pretty sure he had a concussion. But I know he was out yesterday.
Good.
And I think that's kind of what gives, kind of just going off a little bit, I think that's kind of what gives the Carolina Panthers the confidence to let Charles Harris go. Because I'm not saying that DJ Johnson is any better than Charles Harris, to be quite frank. But, I mean, you got Wanham coming back. Or, excuse me, not Wanham. Barno coming back. He's supposed to be coming back at some point. We talked about yesterday, too, on the car ride back. I just don't know what's going on with Amari Barno, bro. And I refuse to make the same mistake that I made with DJ Wanham. Because that's one of the worst takes we've ever had on this podcast in life.
Well, I damn near started treading back towards that territory because I was just like, I damn near, if he can't stay healthy, I just damn near don't even want to ever see him again.
I think he's a good piece, bro. I told y'all, like, damn near, I think at the end of last season that I thought he was going to be a problem this year.
Well, like they say, the best ability is availability, and I haven't seen him in 2 years. So I don't.
Not two.
It's
It's
damn near being 2, bro.
I don't think it's been 2 because he played a couple of snaps last year. I think. I just think that he's going to be an issue when he's fully healthy and when he has the opportunity to see some live bullets. I think Amari Barno is going to be a huge part of what we do. But you look at that. You look at Jadeveon Clowney, and I know we were kind of ragging on him throughout the beginning of the season as well. But it seemed like he just needed Wanham to kind of get back because he been on 1-2 since bro been back. I'm not going to lie. Since bro been back, Jadeveon been hooping. And I don't know if my co-host is going to apologize to you or not,
no,
bro.
But
I'm going to tell you, you've been hooping. And if I ever say anything bad about you and your lack of effort, then I apologize. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm not going to I don't know.
I just went and looked at Amari Barno's stats, and 2022, he played 9 games. 2023, he played 15. And this year, he's played none.
Yeah, so it hasn't been 2 years. It's only been 1 season. And if Wanham can do it, why the fuck can't he? You love shitting on our training staff so much, so it might be something that they doing wrong.
They're sorry as hell. I'll forever say that because it's the same people that was there with Matt Rule. So, I mean, I've been calling for them to get fired when he got fired. I wanted everybody gone that had anything to do with Matt Rule. Everybody. And it just didn't happen. They're sorry.
Except for Chuba Hubbard.
I mean, I'm talking about training staff, coaches, yeah, all of that, yeah.
Like, what is your reaction to the fact that, like, we have Chuba Hubbard on our roster because Matt Rule's wife wanted to draft him? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Do you have any comment?
I mean, I guess I never really thought about it, but if I have to say something about it, that's the one good thing he's ever fucking done in the NFL. So, wow, does he need a fucking award for that?
I was going to say, I don't even think you can credit him for that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't even give him an award. What are we giving him an award for marrying her?
I mean, I guess. Shout out to his wife. Miss Rule.
Nah, for real.
I think Dan Morgan gets an award, though, because y'all talking about edges just made me, like, start thinking over here, like, Brian Burns, and I just pulled up
Lord have mercy.
I pulled up his numbers.
Lord have mercy. Just read them off to us.
28 tackles on the season, 6 sacks. Decent. 1 forced fumble. But with the solo tackles, he's not even ranked. Like, you know how they say, like, tied for something? It says 150 plus.
Damn.
He got 6 sacks.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
I just need to go see something.
Well, I seen
my fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you can go ahead. Mine is not relevant. I was just gonna say I seen that fumble hit him in his foot the other day, and he ain't do shit about it.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. He was a little tight in the locker room too.
Who?
Brian Burns. He was blown in the locker room, and to be honest, I couldn't give a fuck. So,
but
Jadeveon 30 tackles. I'm coming right to you. 30 tackles, and 2.5 sacks. So,
but I'm supposed to apologize.
Yes, because over the last 2 games, he's had 3 tackles and 4 tackles, in the second half. So yeah,
he just needed a little bit of help.
He just needed a little help. That's it. Because that's not even including pressures. That's not including pressures. Let's go see what DJ Wanham has done since he's been back. Shout out to DJ Wanham, bro. Hey, if you watch, man, I'm glad you proved us wrong, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I know we.
We say shit from time to time. Sometimes we're wrong, and that's okay.
And sometimes we gotta walk it back, and that's okay.
Because I forgot who it was. Jake. He said sometimes when you just put out so much content, you're gonna be wrong a few times. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody can't be perfect. So I mean, cool.
On God. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to Dunk. Shout out to Bland. Shout out to Panthers on tap. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie. The vibes were immaculate this weekend. I will say, Sunday morning, blown as hell. Blown as hell. This is why. Listen, I'm gonna just say this, man. If you're ever going out of town for a game or doing whatever you do, just kind of do whatever you do on Saturday night in moderation. That's where we fucked up.
We?
Yeah. Yes, bro. I don't know why you keep trying to throw that whole shit on me. Like it was just my fault that we got a late start. Was it?
I mean, I was already up.
I was too. We woke up damn near at the same exact time. You beat me up by like 5 minutes. You went and got a glass of water. When you did that, I was up. Yeah. Accurate or inaccurate?
I mean, I guess, but we ain't get moving until late. And then, let me just tell you, bro.
My God.
So, you know he wanted to go to Bojangles before we went to the tailgate. And
Sounds
so,
right.
My pregame snack.
We go to Bojangles, and you know how they have the AI shit now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I get up there, and I'm like, bro, I was just about to get everybody's order on mine because I just had a feeling the dumbass AI couldn't do separate orders. I just had a fucking feeling. And I was about to get
a feeling that he didn't vocalize to me.
I was about to get everybody's order, and then he was like, no, I'm going to just get Jake's. I'm going to get me and Jake's on mine. I'm like, okay. Got done with my order. The AI never picked back up. Never picked back up. So we couldn't even do separate orders, and I was like, bro, we should have just did all that shit on one. Pull up to the window. We're like, hey, the machine wouldn't let us do 2 separate orders. Can we order here? Nope, we're on the timer.
Yeah, I wanted to. I wanted to fucking bomb the whole building.
He was so hot.
I wanted because I'm hungover, bro. I'm hungover and I'm starving. Like we ate like later on Saturday night, but it was just like, bro, I've been drinking all night. Like didn't stop until damn near we got back to the house. Like we go to sleep late as hell. I'm like, hey, we gotta get food. For one, we're already running behind, so I'm already like edgy.
Yeah,
like, you know how I get anxious. Like, I'm like, hey, man,
Gotta go.
we gotta go.
Game's still 4 hours out.
Right, yeah, but it's still 4 hours out. But I'm like knowing that, hey, I need to get to the riot because I need to get at least 8, 9, 10 of them bitches in me. Minimum.
Yeah, then he just that just means he has a problem, bro.
Well, I mean, I only got to get 4. So that already had blown me too. Actually 5, because we took how many shots? Well, you wasn't even shooting shit. I think I had 3 shots and 2
Bro, we had just drank for a whole night. I'm like, bro,
I'm ready to get reactivated. Vibes immaculate. I'm telling you, everybody was outside. Everybody was outside. It's deep as hell in the tailgate. We don't get there until like fucking 11:36,
So did y'all get to the Bojangles? Did you have to go in? Like, what happened?
Oh,
we just left. I ate my food.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So what was I supposed to not get my?
He was he did what he was supposed to do.
I gave him a bow round.
I thought you would have just pulled over and been like, go in and get it.
Nigga eats his whole fucking meal. He's like, hey man, you want a bow round? That was selfish of me. I was like, yeah, bro, let me get a fucking bow round. Is that the least you can do for me today? I'll take it, bro.
I would have put my hands on him for even offering.
I had ate about 3 of them, and I looked at him. I'm like, damn, I was like, this shit is kind of selfish, bro. I was like, so you might as well just
now, just imagine my fat ass in his little car, angry as hell, bro. This nigga going crazy. But we were about to circle back. Like I'll give him credit. He was about to circle back for me, but I was like, no, bro, because at that point it was like even deeper than when we pulled in initially, and it was already deep. And I looked inside. You know how niggas gotta wait for that order. When you ordering, some niggas just be right in front of the cashier. The line was so damn long, them niggas is wrapped all the way back to the fucking back exit door. So I'm just like, I can't go inside because I'm going to be even more tight. So it was just shot, bro. And so I had to settle for a fucking measly-ass Carolina Panthers hot dog that cost me fucking $10. And then I finally ate some.
One thing's for certain, two things for sure. You're going to find that glizzy in the game.
Yeah, that shit is nasty, bro.
Bro, I mean, because I'm either going to do that or get hit over my head for fucking 3 measly-ass Bojangles chicken tenders.
I don't blame you, though. At least you didn't touch the food at Roaring Riot, because...
Oh, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that.
Lord, I'll never forget that pain. Lord have mercy.
I'm not going to lie. He was in the back
I thought I was going to die,
bro. No
cap. I thought I was up out of there, boy. I got so hot so quick.
Yeah. He was down bad as hell. He was down bad. Oh, my God. Yeah, so they've petrified me. I mean, I've never touched their food before or after that. They just fucked it off for me completely. And yesterday it was so bad that I was about to consider getting it. I think I said something.
They had some like solid food. I seen like barbecue and shit. Like they had some
Taco
ribs
Bowls
and
look
shit.
solid too.
Yeah, the walking nachos. Them shits look phenomenal.
Yeah, but y'all got him after the game, right?
No,
we got him
nigga.
before the game at the tailgate.
Yeah, we got him at the tailgate, bro. And about 9 or 10 niggas out of our group ended up with the same problem. We all food poisoned. So I just can't never touch that shit ever again. Ever. So that's how that went. But shout out to everybody we saw this weekend. I got the opportunity to see a couple of y'all on the let out of the game. So shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing us love and support. That shit be meaning a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And it was just, it was a blast. It was a blast. We had a phenomenal time. Shout out to Jake. We got on the road. Like, we touched down. We touched down in the city.
Jake has shit in motion.
Jake has shit in motion already. Shout out to
that.
Jake. And we walking in the building, instant tequila.
Love that. I really wanted to go, man. But me and my boys had our annual football game.
Did you win?
You know I won. Well, I went out there.
I went
out there slinging that bitch.
Check him.
You know what my between drive drink was? Some of that moonshine. Take a little sip.
I know you was overthrowing them.
At first, I was launching that bitch. I'm regretting it now, though. I about threw my shoulder out. I can't do it like I used to, boy. All this
Tight.
pain.
Lord have mercy.
But I got somebody. John dunked on. He got dunked on so bad, boy.
Yeah, John doesn't need to ever think about touching a football or a football field in his life.
Back corner of the end zone. He ended up on the ground. My receiver ended up standing over him with the ball.
Yeah, just sad. Other stats. Only the third team during Andy Reid's tenure as the Chiefs head coach to score on 75% of drives. Shout out Bryce, man. Shout out BY9, man.
The NFL,
real nigga, man.
NFL said the overreaction, underreaction thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young has turned the corner. Underreaction.
Okay.
I think so.
I hope, bro. I hope. Like, that's why I just get very, very frustrated, bro, when niggas start to try and do too much and paint narratives and shit. I hope so.
I like it because you see it, though, because you saw it even last season. You saw he had it. He had moments of, like, where he showed his, like, where he showed the swag for the game, the feel, the touch, the motion of, like, a solid quarterback. He just couldn't piece it together consistently. You're seeing it now more consistent. Like, him and Pat were playing, like, a similar style of football, like, in the sense that they were both free. They were both slinging. They were both making plays.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see consistently. He's getting there. He's definitely piecing it together. I love it.
What did Pat have? Pat had 269. Bryce had 263.
Yeah, Pat just had 3 touchdowns.
He had
but
3 touchdowns, yeah.
I mean, like, it was one drive that Bryce hit David Moore or was that David Moore that he hit in the hands? I know Tommy Tremble he hit in the hands.
He hit Tommy Tremble in the face. Tommy Tremble, hey, listen, man. I thought that this coaching staff was gonna be able to fix you, but salute to you. Thank you for your service. Appreciate.
We don't have anything else. You at least have to have 2 tight ends on the roster.
Felipe Franks.
No, bro.
It's
Felipe
time for Tommy
Franks.
to get back on the jugs with Chuba after
Yeah, it's
practice.
over with.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. And to be honest, I never want to see another fucking report on Twitter come out letting me know that Chuba Hubbard is the only one on the drug machine. Xavier Legette, David Moore, Tommy Tremble, all 3 of y'all have been nominated to drug duty after practice with Chuba Hubbard. I'm just going to say that too because I'm sick and tired of seeing all the fucking drops, bro. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm hypercritical of Bryce Young, but when I see niggas getting beamed in the face mask, in the visor, with a fucking 5'9", 5'10" safety / linebacker on them, and we don't come up with the catch, that pisses me off. It pisses me off. And then when I see him throw damn near the best ball of his career on the sideline, literally hand the fucking ball to you like you're a running back in the backfield, and we drop it, it pisses me off. It does. Now, I'll give them credit. They took accountability. That's some shit Dave Canales is installing in the locker room.
Do they win that game with Jalen Coker?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not gonna say they win it with Jalen Coker, but I mean it would have been nice to see like him implemented into that because I mean
he's the best receiver, second best receiver on the team right now, in my opinion.
He's better than XL?
Yeah. He's the only person he's not better than, I think, is Thielen.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't necessarily like disagree with that. I mean, I've said like I don't think XL is like a pure catcher of the football, and I've been saying that for weeks because he's had some like pitiful drops, and it's just like, bro, like I'm gonna try to shoot you bail this year because you're a rookie, but that's something that you're gonna have to pick up next year because I was telling JJ like. That pass on the sideline that Bryce threw, we ended up scoring on that drive, but in a lot of games, you're not going to be able to get that back.
And I think my biggest criticism, and y'all correct me if I'm off base on this, I think with XL, because I do like XL, I like his frame, I like what he brings like from a trait standpoint. I think the coaching staff needs to do a little bit of a better job of scheming him to get the ball because I think he's much better with the ball in his hands. But I think in the red zone in particular is where I see the biggest opportunity for XL. Like, there's not enough targets for him in that area of the field, especially when I see him lined up in the slot on quite a few plays in the red zone, and we're just not using that. Like, we're not utilizing that mismatch and that size advantage that he gets, whether it be on a safety or on a slower linebacker.
Well, I would agree with that, but at the same time, when you get in the red zone, like, that's when you have to catch with your hands. Like, a lot of those are not going to be necessarily body shots, like, over the middle. Like, you have to utilize your hands a little bit more, especially, like, with a guy like XL, is because it's, like, most of the time in that situation, like, I would love to throw a fade up to him in the back of the end zone. But am I going to be able to trust XL to go up with his hands and catch that? I don't know if I can say that right now.
Well, let's get to that point first, though. Like, let's at least give him the opportunity to drop it, because right now you're not even giving him that opportunity. Like, if you give him the chance and then he drops it, then we can have that conversation. But right now, the conversation, I think, should be, can we get him some targets and let him try to utilize that frame and athleticism a little bit?
Yeah, could be. I mean, also, there was a drive in the red zone where Ick just completely fucked it off. Because I think that we were going for it. We were going for it because it was like, what, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1? I think it was.
That was on the 2-point conversion that you're referring to, I think.
No. I'm referring to it was a false start that he had that was in the red zone that we settled for 3 that we were gonna go for. This was not at the end of the game that we were gonna go for, and then we ended up kicking the field goal because they moved us back.
I thought that was on Dame. One of them was on Dame. We had 3 false starts on Sunday. 2 of them were on Ick and 1 was on Dame.
Well, whoever it was on, just fucking undisciplined and lack of awareness. Like, it's just simple as that. Those are one of the red zone possessions where you can go score a touchdown, and then you have to settle for a field goal. So it's like in situations like that, we have to be more of a disciplined football team, especially when we have veterans across the offensive line. Like, you just have to be disciplined.
I agree.
Grade them. And this is it for me, my questions on the game. Grade what you saw from the Panthers on Sunday.
As a
A
whole?
to F. Yeah, A to F. What are you going to give them?
I'm going to give...
Can we break it up to offense
Do you want to break
defense?
it? We can break it up.
I prefer.
Okay.
Because offense, outplay defense significantly, in my opinion. I would give the offense a B-. Defensively, I'm going to say a D+. And the highest that I would go on that front would be a C-. But I got to see the all-22 first. I haven't seen the all-22. But, yeah, that's what I would go with personally.
Yeah, I would say, I'm around the same thing. I would say the offense would be in the B territory. The defense, I damn near want to give them an F. But I'm trying to be respectful because there were good things that I saw out of certain players. So I'm going to go with a D. But I blame a lot of that shit on EJ and Dane Jackson.
Offense could have been taken to a whole nother level if we just convert on one of those 3 red zone, the early red zone appearances, and we catch the fucking football, Tommy Tremble in the end zone.
Definitely. I landed on the same grades you did, though, when I thought about the question, B- and D+.
Yeah, because
it would have been an F had they not stepped it up in the second half. But because they showed some resilience in the second half, that's what brought them up to a D+. And the offense would have been an A if they could have converted in the red zone. But you have to take a large hit for not converting in the red zone, because especially playing the Chiefs, you have anybody really. I don't even want to use the context of it's the Chiefs. You have to convert in the NFL in the red zone if you want to win games.
And that's one thing that Dave Canales did a good job at kind of communicating to the media on Monday was that, and I kind of liked his approach. And to be honest, this is the approach that you should be taking as an NFL head coach. But we got to take the opponent away. Like, there were good things that we did as a professional NFL football team, and there were bad things that we did regardless of who we play against. And so the quicker that we kind of take this whole notion out of our heads as a team, speaking from Dave Canales' standpoint, the better off that we'll be. As fans, it's always going to be that, because that's the only thing that we have to hang our hats on, transparently. Like, we only judge you and know what's going on based off of who you play against and how you perform against those specific teams. Right? So the knock on Carolina has been that they've beat bad teams. But I make the stance and the argument that Carolina was just a bad team and still is relatively a bad team if you look at the numbers. So I don't give a fuck who we beat as long as we're winning games. But I feel like in the NFL, you can't think of that. You have to come into the game knowing that you can compete and win every single football game. And Canales did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, on Monday during his pressure at communicating that. So, again, shout out Dave Canales, man. I'm a fan. I'm sold personally.
I was about to say, last thing, I swear, because you just said that and it made me think.
We're good.
I'm not going to go too far, but as I told y'all last week, or the last time we recorded, I'm starting to see things from this Panthers organization that I saw from the Lions a couple years ago when they first brought Dan Morgan in to be the head coach. You saw a bad football team.
Dan Campbell, thank you.
Mm-hmm. A bad football team compete and grow week in and week out, and I think this game epitomizes everything that we've been saying. This team is competing. They're not giving up. They're growing. They're getting better, and that's what you want to see from a bad football team going to build in the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is an 8 or 9 win football team next year.
If that's the case, then you know I'm coming on this bitch saying we win in 13 games. But
I'll
save that for them.
You can even go down to like some of like the things that the Lions do that the Panthers have the opportunity to do. They have the 2 running back system. If Jonathan Brooks can get rolling, and he had a fucking wide open hole last game.
He did.
And fucking
he missed
dicked it off. So
he missed it. He could have cribbed some shit yesterday. Yeah, easy.
And fucked it off. So I mean, I guess I'll shoot him some bail for that because it's his first game back. But I don't need to see that shit again.
Wow, relax, man.
It's his first
he's gonna be, Jonathan. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. For one, first and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and say you're the real John. I'm sorry for ever giving giving your name
this weekend.
Wow, wow.
A whopping 1.8 points.
Shout out to Jonathan Mingo, man. Finally getting a fucking catch. I mean, my God.
Yeah, when that happened, I said, "Who?" Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to that, like you can have that 2 running back situation. They also have the tight end, like Sam Laporta. I can easily see Jatavion Sanders turning into one of the. I swear,
he's a dog, bro. He's one of them ones.
Yeah.
He's one of them ones. He's gonna be. He's so like he has such a high level of raw talent, bro. Yeah. He's gonna be a dog.
Yeah, I like this team. I like a lot of the pieces on this team. It's fun to cheer for them.
Yeah,
they can make a fan of you.
I think if you can like get that defense up to par, bro. If you can just get that defense up to par, like obviously we don't have a receiver like Amon-Ra or anything like that, but I mean, you can substitute that in other places. But if you get that defense up to par, because we're already like being competitive in a lot of games, and won 2 games in a row. I think that, if you can just get that defense up to par in the offseason, you can see a big change in this team.
This shit would look a whole lot different if, for whatever reason, this is the case for multiple Atlanta games over the last 3 years. But if you just continue to run the ball in the fourth quarter on the Andy Dalton interception in the Atlanta game in Bank of America Stadium, we're having this conversation is just going a completely different way, in my opinion. But I digress. We lost. But I just, like, as you're beginning to talk, I was just thinking about the games that we've been competitive in this year. I think the Saints week 1, you would have gotten blasted regardless. So we'll just not even hypothesize that or just make it a part of the hypothetical that we would have won that game for any other reason if the ball just bounces. No, we got absolutely abused. Give you that. The Chargers game, that game is very, very weird. I got to go back and watch that Chargers game, but that's just something that I'll chalk up to Bryce just being ass and his mindset just being completely shot at that point. So we'll say 0-2. But, I mean, we forced like 3 or 4 turnovers in that game. Like, we had so many opportunities, and we just failed miserably. But go past that. You win Vegas. Who do we play after Vegas? Cincinnati. The Cincinnati game, I mean, if we can just fucking tackle and not show half-ass effort on Jamar Chase, completely different situation, completely different conversation, because we only ended up losing that game by what, 7? And even if it was 10, that 10 happened because they just went down and scored another field goal after we dicked off on offense. Week 5, we play Chicago. Then we went on the road to Chicago that week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 36-10.
Another ass whooping. You weren't going to win that game. Where do we go from there?
38-20 Atlanta.
That's the game that I'm referring to.
47 Washington.
Clipped.
Yeah.
Just fucked.
28-14 Denver.
There was points in that game that you could have capitalized though, because we forced a couple turnovers in that game and just didn't do shit with it.
And we started the game 7-0, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 7-0 at that point.
Because I think we took the ball away on their first drive.
Yeah. So that one could have gone different. But this is honestly, I mean, I'm going back kind of mentally in my head just to make the point that, like, bro, honestly, like, this team is a couple of missed opportunities away from having fucking 6 wins already this season, in my opinion. To be quite frank, like right in the middle and right in the heart of the divisional race. Because, I mean, the Falcons are 6-5. And I've seen that their fan base has gotten to chatting for whatever reason. Let me just go ahead and make a PSA to y'all, because I know a couple of Falcons fans that watch our channel and for Panthers fans only specifically. Y'all niggas ain't shit. I'm just going to say that. I can easily see y'all being clipped by Seattle in the playoffs. I can easily see y'all being clipped by anybody that comes out of the NFC East. With all due respect, specifically the Philadelphia Eagles or the Washington Commanders. And I can see you getting absolutely dog-walked by Detroit. So, y'all, I know that y'all think that y'all were nice for whatever reason, but just slow the fuck down. Just slow down. And that's all I'll say to end my PSA. Let me see. I touched on that. I guess we should go to Juice. Oh, this is the last thing that I'll say regarding Bryce Young. Bryce Young had a 73rd percentile EPA play against the Chiefs. Handled the blitz and threw the ball well down the field. This is coming from Sean Syed. Young was 11 of 14 for 103 yards and a touchdown against the blitz, and 9 for 16 for 165 yards on throws 10-plus yards down the field per NFL Pro. So shout out to Bryce, man. He went toe-to-toe with bro. I'm not going to hold you. Shout out to Bryce. He did his thing.